Good evening. My name is Kacper Paradowski and you are watching Poland Daily News. All signs point to the fact that the crisis in the United Right is close to being resolved. It has been rumored that the agreement of the coalition members is to be announced after the meeting of the Political Committee of the Law and Justice, which started at 5 p.m. According to the information provided by politicians of the Law and Justice, the government is to include Jarosław Kaczynski, who is to take the post of Deputy Prime Minister and lead the Security Committee in the government, as well as supervise the work of three ministries: Defense, Internal Affairs and Justice. An agreement was said to be reached in the United Right. However, talks between the coalition members are still ongoing. Just yesterday evening, Law and Justice leader Jarosław Kaczynski met with the head of United Poland, Zbigniew Ziobro. The head of the Law and Justice Parliamentary Club, Ryszard Terlecki, announced that the leader of Law and Justice will become Deputy Prime Minister and Zbigniew Ziobro will retain his position. All signs indicate that Jarosław Kaczynski is to become a member of the government. The composition of the government will be announced in an appropriate manner. Today or tomorrow, the leadership of the party will meet and finally approve the shape of the coalition, and then there will be only one step to build the government after the reconstruction. Michał Dworczyk, in the morning interview for the first Polish radio program, confirmed that the ruling coalition is at the final stage of negotiations. Indeed, it seems that the agreement is already very close, but as for its final content, shape and form, the decision will be made by the central political authorities of Law and Justice, to my knowledge within the next few hours, and then the details will be communicated. Jarosław Kaczynski would supervise the key ministries: the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of National Defense, and the Ministry of the Interior and Administration. Chairman Kaczynski's presence in the government would undoubtedly have a stabilizing character, and I think that we could count on more reflection from our coalition members than before. According to the commentators, it is a political experiment confirming that Jarosław Kaczynski is a sovereign of the United Right. It was an internal struggle, but in my opinion, the essence of this struggle was that Jarosław Kaczynski had earlier told Zbigniew Ziobro that there was no chance for him to fight for the leadership of the United Right. Mr. Kaczynski could have said this to him while refusing to join United Poland to Law and Justice, and without being in Law and Justice, Ziobro has no chance to fight for the leadership of the United Right. Therefore, this is, in my opinion, the essence of the whole conflict. The meeting of the Law and Justice Political Committee was initiated at 5 p.m. Warsaw time at the Law and Justice headquarters. Decisions concerning the future of the governing coalition may still be made today. A high-profile meeting of the Visegrad Group countries took place in Brussels today with the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. The prime ministers of the Visegrad Group countries exchanged ideas on the economic recovery of the Union after the pandemic, as well as the new migration package. The head of the Polish government, Mateusz Morawiecki, declared that his cabinet would do everything possible to prevent another lockdown.
Chcemy uniknąć kolejnego lockdownu. We don't want another lockdown to happen. We want
to avoid another lockdown. We want to have this good balance between the power of the economy, the rate of coming out of the crisis, and taking care of all matters associated with the healthcare branch, the public health, the health of individual people in Poland and in the Czech Republic and Hungary. We took care of it in a very, very good way, although we have a few months ahead of us, and I hope these are the last few months of fighting with this pandemic. Today's discussion with our friends from Hungary and the Czech Republic was a very constructive one. We spoke in one voice in all matters with Ursula von der Leyen.
Konstruktywna, bo widać, że mówimy jednym głosem we wszystkich właściwie tematach, które były poruszane z Ursulą von der Leyen.
In his speech in connection with the session of the UN General Assembly, President Andrzej Duda called for international solidarity in defending human rights in Belarus and other countries where these rights are being violated.
W imię solidarności.
In the name of solidarity, we should all speak with one voice and demand that fundamental human rights be respected, both in Belarus and in other places across the globe. Repressions of political opponents, mass detentions of peaceful protesters, or violence and torture being applied against them cannot be tolerated in any state. Belarusians, just like any other free nation, have the right to shape their political future in a sovereign way, without external interference, without domination of other capitals, with the right to freely participate in international cooperation in line with their national interests.
Zgodnie z ich narodowymi interesami.
Ylva Johansson, the commissioner responsible for drafting the European Commission's new proposed joint migration policy for the Union, today put forward her arguments supporting the new policy in front of the European Parliament. Her rhetoric showed that Brussels has failed to draw any conclusions from the 2015 migrant crisis and continues to embrace a view supportive of increasing migration to the EU from Africa and the Middle East. Johansson started her career in the Swedish left-wing party, which until 1989 retained the phrase "the Communists" in their official party name. Poland, Hungary and a number of Central Eastern European states have refused to support a new migration policy which would introduce mandatory migrant quotas for all member states, instead favouring a policy which would see migrant boats being turned around back to where they came from, copying the Australian model.
Migration is part of what makes our continent prosper. We have a lot of migration to the European Union, and we need that. And we need these people. We are an aging society. But we also need to find new legal pathways, not only for skilled workers, but also for medium and low skilled workers to come to the European Union. I've been discussing with you here earlier about the risk of pushbacks, and that is violating the right to apply for asylum. Those that are eligible to stay, and they are many, as I just said, 3 million last year got a residence permit. All that are eligible to stay should be welcomed. You should be part of our society. We need migrants, and we need also to take responsibility for refugees. I will encourage you, as well as the Council and the Member States, to de-dramatize the migration policy and legislation.
The Twitter account of editor-in-chief of Gazeta Polska, Tomasz Sakiewicz, was the target of a cyber attack. Poland Daily was also targeted in the attack. The hackers published an article providing false information on Polish and Lithuanian ministers planning to create a special peacekeeping force of the European Union and send it to Belarus. Mr. Sakiewicz strongly believes that the Russian special services are behind this attack. That's all for tonight. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for Poland Daily Business. Good night.